Today we will be solving for the angles and the sides of any triangle using the sine law. Now there are two conditions for solving the triangles using the sine law. First, if there are two angles and one side given, and if there are two sides and one opposite angle given. So these are the two formulas for sine law. A over sine A is equal to B over sine B is equal to C over sine C. So we assign large letters for the angle and we assign the small letters for the sides. So they are always opposite. For example, A over sine A, so this is angle A, this is the side A. So they are always opposite, like B over sine B, so side B, and this is the angle B. Now sometimes I flip the fraction. We can also use this formula. It depends on where the variable or what are we looking for. So I prefer, it's easier for me to put the variable on the numerator, easier to solve. So you can use either one, this one or this one, depending on the variable that we need. We have an example. Example 1, we have a triangle, 120 degrees and 35 degrees. And then the third angle is M. And we have side 8 inches and side X and Y. So we have to solve for the angle M, for the side X and side Y. So let's start with angle X. So we have 120 degrees and the one opposite that is side X. We have 8 inches and the angle opposite this is 35 degrees, so we can use these two fractions. So let's start with the variable that we want to solve. X, we want to put it in the numerator. Opposite X is 120 degrees, so sine 120 degrees is equal to 8 inches over opposite that is 35 degrees, so sine 35 degrees. Now if we want to solve for X, there is a denominator under X, so we want to remove that, so we multiply this by sine 120. We also multiply this by sine 120. X over sine 120 degrees is equal to 8 inches over sine 35 degrees. So we multiply both sides by sine of 120 degrees, sine 120 degrees. So this will cancel out and we are left with this one. X is equal to 8 inches, and then we get a calculator to solve for sine of 120 degrees. So we put sine 120 degrees equals, so it's 0.866 on the decimal. So this is 0.866 something divided by sine of 35 sine of 35 degrees is equal to 0.573 something. So this is, we can round it up to 0.574. Now if you multiply this to this one and divide it by this one, the answer will be 12.07 inches. So this is your answer. Now we have solved for x, so we can solve for m. Because we have two angles, we can solve for the third angle. Because the total internal angles of a triangle is always 180 degrees. So we have the two angles here. We can solve for this one. So if we have 180 degrees minus 120 minus 35, this will be our angle M. So if we subtract 120 and 35 to 180, M will be 25 degrees. So now we have solved for the angle. We can now solve for y, because that angle is opposite y. So let's start with the unknown side. So y over sine m, which is 25 degrees, is equal to, we still use these two given, 8 inches over sine 35 degrees. So to solve for y, we have to multiply both sides by sine 25. This will multiply by sine 25. This will cancel out. So your y will be 8 inches by times sine of 25 degrees divided by sine 35 degrees. So using the calculator, we can see that sine 25 degrees is equal to 0.422 and sine 35 degrees is 0.573. If we multiply 8 inches to this one divided by this one, we have 5.894 meters. Example 2, we have a triangle with 3 feet on one side, 5 feet on one side, and 80 degrees opposite the 5 feet side. We have angle M, angle R, and side N. So we will be looking for these three variables. Well, let's start with angle R. R is opposite 3 feet. So this time, I will be using this type of formula because we're looking for the angle and I want the angle to be on the numerator. So this will be sine R over the opposite, which is 3 feet, is equal to sine 80 degrees over 5 feet. Now to remove this one, we have to multiply both sides by 3 feet. So becomes sine R over 3 feet is equal to sine 180 over 5 feet. So multiply this by 3 feet. We multiply this by 3 feet. This will cancel out. So we need to find sine 80 degrees. So sine 80 degrees is 0.984 times 3 feet over 5 feet. That will be sine R. Now, if we multiply 3 feet to 0.984 divided by 5 feet, we will get 0.591. So this is sine R. Now we have this angle R. We're looking for angle R, but we have the ratio. So to get the angle, we have to get the inverse sine of this ratio. So we write it as like this. R is equal to sine to the negative 1, 0.591. So we're looking for the inverse sine of this ratio to get the angle. In the calculator, we write it as shift sine 0.591 is equal to 36.22 something. So R is 36.22 degrees. We now have two angles. We have 80 degrees. We have 36.22 degrees for angle R. We can now solve for M because the total internal angles of a triangle is 180. So M, angle M, is 180 minus 80 degrees minus 36.22 degrees. So your angle M is 63.78 degrees. So we have angle M. We can now solve for N, which is the side opposite angle M. So we want to solve N. N is a side, so we'll use this type of formula. N, which is what we're looking for, over sine M, which we now know as 63.78 degrees, sine 63.78 degrees, over the given 5 feet and 80 degrees, 5 feet over sine 80 degrees. So now we multiply both sides by sine 63.78 to cancel this one. Sine 63.78 degrees, we multiply sine 63.78. So this will cancel out. So you have 5 feet. Now sine of 63.78 is equal to 0.897. Sine of 80 degrees is 0.984. Now if you multiply 5 feet with this one divided by this one, we have 4.55 feet. This is your side N. That's it.